Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with our Srimad Bhagavatam series of second canto, first chapter, and today's verse is 5. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your time and association. I'll share my screen again.
Are you okay? You sound like you're...
Yeah, I'm a little bit not feeling well, Maharaj, today. My voice is a little low today. Please bear with me. Thank you.
This verse is one of the key verses in the whole Bhagavatam. I'm so happy I got the opportunity to speak on it. After Sukadev Goswami speaks about the materialistic householder, and now he gives the formula for success in life. And this verse is really right to the point. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatmam Bhagavan Ishvara Harihi Srotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas Chetatavayam. O descendant of the King Bart. Bring it down a little, yeah. O descendant of King Bart, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. Read it again. O descendant of King Bart, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, controller, and the savior of all from all miseries. Purport. In the previous verse, Sukadeva Goswami has described how the foolish materially attached men are wasting their time and valuable time in the improvement of material conditions of life by sleeping and indulging in sex life, developing economic conditions, and maintaining a band of relatives who are to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. Being engaged in all these material activities, the living soul entangles himself in the cycle of a law of fruit of actions. This entails a chain of birth and death in the 8,400,000 species of life. The aquatics, the vegetables, the reptiles, the birds, the beasts, the uncivilized man, and then again the human form, which is a chance for getting out of the cycle of fruit of actions. Therefore, one desires freedom from this vicious cycle, then one must cease to act as a karmi or enjoyer of the results of one's own work, good or bad. One should not do anything, either good or bad, on his own account, but must execute everything on behalf of the Supreme Lord, the ultimate proprietor of everything that be. This process of doing work is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita 9:27 also, where instructions is given for working on the Lord's account. Therefore, one should first of all hear about the Lord. When one has perfectly and scrutinizingly heard, one must glorify his acts and deeds, and thus it will become possible to remember constantly the transcendental nature of the Lord. Hearing about and glorifying the Lord are identical with the transcendental nature of the Lord, and by doing so, one will always be in the association of the Lord. This brings freedom from all sorts of fear. The Lord is the super soul, Paramatma, present in the hearts of all living beings, and thus by the above hearing and glorifying process, the Lord invites the association of all in his creation. The process of hearing about and glorifying the Lord is applicable for everyone, whoever he may be, and it will lead one to the ultimate success in everything in which one may be engaged in by providence. There are many classes of human beings: the fruit of workers, the empiric philosophers, the mystic yogis, and ultimately the unalloyed devotees. For all of them, one and the same process is applicable for achieving the desired success. Everyone wants to be free from all kinds of fear, and everyone wants the fullest extent of happiness in life. The perfect process for achieving this here and now is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is uttered by such a great authority as Srila Sukadeva Goswami. By hearing about and glorifying the Lord, all the person's activities become molded into spiritual activities, and thus all conceptions of material miseries become completely vanquished. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As Srila Prabhupada would say, the process of bhakti is very easy and the process of bhakti is very difficult. So what makes it easy and what is not there, which makes it difficult? And that is putting time aside in a determined way to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Everything is summed up in this particular verse. What is the result? People in the material world suffer very much from the anxiety of fear. Fear permeates all of one's existence. In fact, everywhere in the material world, the fear propensity is very strong. You can see that now as we become more developed in a very industrial society, the fear element has also been increased. Before, we used to have fear from maybe a few people or society in general. Now we have fear from people we don't even know who live who live thousands of miles away. And now they have these nuclear bombs. And anybody who goes a little crazy decides to drop a nuclear bomb, and you can wipe out, tens and thousands of people in one shot. So yeah, so this fear element is there. It's very strong. People live in fear, fear of not getting, fear of getting and not having the happiness that they desire from achieving whatever they want. Fear of losing. The fear is always there in materialistic society. And of course, the ultimate fear is the fear of death. But here, one can become fearless. Srila Prabhupada was given the name Abhay. Bhai means fear, Bhaya. Bhaya means fear. But Abhay means that which is one who is without fear. Abhay Charana Ravinda. You can see how Srila Prabhupada went around the world fearlessly at the age of 70 years old, not worrying so much about, while he was 70, his health was not considered to be the best at the time, and it also deteriorated as he continued to travel. But he went around fearlessly spreading Krishna consciousness because he knew Krishna was there. One who has faith in the Lord and executes the process of devotional service, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, they know Krishna is always there. They have no fear because they know God will protect them in any and every situation. A devotee has that faith that if I simply go on in my devotional service, then there's no fear. Even if someone tries to cause them some harm, they don't worry about it because they know Krishna is there to protect them. So the devotee is always free from fear. And it's not an easy quality to adopt because there are so many reasons to be fearful. It happens all the time. So it's just like sometimes you're sitting in your house and all the lights go out and it's pitch black. You can't see anything. Then you start thinking, oh, maybe there's some evil people in the house now. You can't see anything. And your mind starts projecting all of these fear elements simply by not being able to see. And so this fear comes even in the most innocuous way, in the way that is least expected, like that. And the way we live now, too, we've increased the fear element. And so fear is very strong. But here it says that one who wants to be free from all miseries, and Prabhupada mentions fear a few times within the purport, say because that is the ultimate fear. That's the ultimate misery, that people live in fear. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, people, there are people who have fear from even the most ordinary things. There's people who hear chimes, like when you ring doorbells or you have these different sounds. There are people who are afraid of those. There are people who are afraid of frogs. I came across one website where it had all of the different fears that people have, and it was like 100 different ways that people will feel fearful in the most, what we say, unusual way. They call them phobias or elements that cause fear. So fear is everywhere, but one who chants the holy name of the Lord and engages in devotional service. Here it says to glorify the Lord. When one glorifies the Lord, one is connected with the Lord in this process of glorification. Satam pasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata. So that the glories of the Lord is nectar when we hear it from the great souls who live according to their devotion to the Supreme Lord. They live by devotion. They're focused on offering everything they do in a devotional way to the Supreme Lord, and they're very busy in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, which are unlimited. Srila Prabhupada wrote so many books, but even if he didn't write so many, if we had just one book like Srimad Bhagavatam, we would have enough uh, literature to hear and chant the glories of the Lord for many lifetimes. So this process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord frees one from all miseries in this material world and gives one higher consciousness where they can feel the happiness of the process of devotional service, like that. And Prabhupada said this can be done at any time, any place, anywhere, any person. There's no qualifications. One simply has to take up the process. It's very easy. And nowadays, there's one advantage with all of this technology we have. We have so much media. One can plug in to kirtans, to various types of programs that are glorifying the Lord around the world. We have this program where you can enter into the atmosphere of a particular temple anywhere in the world now through the media and experience what is going on in that temple, at least to a large degree. So in that sense, there's so much media available for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And of course, when we do it directly with devotees on site in our temples or in our homes or in some outside venue, then we are really coming deep into the mood of Krishna consciousness like that. Because the more we hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the more we learn about the Lord. The more we learn about the Lord, the more the soul by nature is attracted to the Lord, and the soul becomes awakened in its attraction for the Lord, and that attraction turns into a very strong form of attachment. And then that attachment continues to develop where one actually develops affection for the Lord and ultimately love for the Lord. So it all centers around hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Of course, if we hear and chant the glories of those who are giving their life to the Lord, that is the great souls, that is also equally as good because their life is connected directly with the Lord. Their glories are always in line with the glories of the Lord. And therefore, when we hear about them, chant their glories, then we also awaken that attraction for the Lord and for the process of hearing and chanting. Well, this is a very powerful expression here. Sukadeva Goswami gets right to the point. And he describes the Lord, he's a super soul. That means he's in the heart. He is the controller, but when he says controller, he means the supreme controller. That controller who controls all other controllers, who all other controllers work under. The Lord is completely in control of everything throughout the material and spiritual realms. There's nothing outside. And he's also, here is his compassionate nature. He saves the living entities from the miseries of the material existence, which are many. This material world is dukkale amasastratam. There's so many ways you can suffer in this world. And there's very few ways you can actually find some enjoyment in this world. The suffering is always greater in proportion. It's like, for instance, your little toe on your foot. I mean, how much pleasure can that little toe give you? But if somebody drops, a hammer on it, or you smash it against the sidewalk or something, it can give you a tremendous amount of pain. So that same little toe can cause so much pain and give you no pleasure at the same time. So this is the material world. It's just an example of how the material world is designed to frustrate the living entities attempt to enjoy in this material world by creating so many ways by which you can find disappointment and suffering in this world. And ultimately, no one wants to die. No one wants to give up their body, but still that will happen. It's inevitable. When Srila Prabhupada was leaving the body in Vrindavan, the devotees were around him and they were feeling quite unhappy. And some of them were crying, seeing Prabhupada in his condition. Prabhupada looked around and he said, don't think this won't happen to you. He made the point. I remember when I was I went to Rome one time, there's a place called the Catacombs. The Catacombs is a place where it's a monastery, and but they also have a display section for people who come to visit. And in that display section, whenever a monk dies, they take the skeleton of the monk and they display it, and they take the bones and make different pictures out of the bones, different hip bones and the collar bones and this bones, and they make artistic designs with bones. So, and there's different sections. So as you're walking through the sections, you're seeing different artistic displays, different skeletons. And then in the last section, there's 3 skeletons there, big ones. And there's a sign right in the front for everyone to read. It's in 4 languages. It's in English, it's in Italian, it's in Spanish. No, I'm sorry, not Spanish. English, Italian, German, and French. That's in for these four language. And so it says, when you're looking at the skeletons there, and the sign says, and the skeleton is talking to you. He says, as you are now, I once was, and as I am now, you will be. So it's not like they're preaching very directly that this is the end of this material body. It's just the way it is. But before that happens, we have an opportunity to make this our last death. This will be the last death for those who take up the process of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we have to take birth and die continuously, life after life after life, and in between suffer the threefold miseries. And here's the process. Hear and chant the glories of the Lord, because the Lord's glories are so profuse and they're attractive. Here we see Sukadev Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. He wants to hear the glories of the Lord. And Sukadev Goswami is so enthusiastic to narrate these glories. So the hearer is perfect, the speaker is perfect. When the hearer and the speaker is perfect, the transmission is perfect. And in that transmission, both the hearer and speaker actually become purified by the process of hearing and chanting. And that purifying effect is that one becomes attracted more and more to Krishna. His pastimes, his qualities, his name, his forms. When we see a picture of Krishna, we just don't think, oh, there's God. We actually feel very attracted to that picture, and we think, oh, he's so beautiful. I hope someday I can leave this material world and go back to Krishna and be with him personally. We pray like that, yeah. And that prayer can be answered by this particular verse. Hear and chant the glories of the Lord and engage in the process of devotional service. Of course, the essence of hearing and chanting is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the essence of the glorification of the Lord. That is the supreme form of glorification, but there are other forms also. Simply by hearing about the Lord, his qualities, his pastimes, his relationships with his devotees, how he interacts with the material world, and particularly his pastimes in Vrindavan. All of these we have like hundreds of books that narrate Krishna's Leelas in Vrindavan, all by the great acharyas that spend so much time and energy just to give us their realizations in the form of this transcendental literature. So take advantage of it. Don't waste time. There's so many nice books. Don't just have a nice bookshelf that looks very pretty and then dust it every once in a while just to get the dust off. No, read the books, hear the product, and as we do this more and more, we'll get attracted to Krishna, because Krishna is all attractive. His activities, how he deals with his devotees, is one of the most attractive features of Krishna's nature. How he lovingly deals with his devotees. It's very sweet, especially his devotees in Vrindavan. How Radharani, she wants to be with him, and Krishna also wants to be with her, but then there's another gopi that wants to be with Krishna. So Krishna gives some inclination to the other gopi, and Radharani's waiting for Krishna to come, and he's not, he's with another gopi. And she sends Lalita looking for Krishna, and Krishna's with the other gopi, and Lalita starts chastising Krishna, and Krishna realizes he's in trouble. He runs back to catch Radharani. Now Radharani is really angry. She just won't talk to him. When she sees him, she just turns her head the other way. And when she goes back home, because Krishna's color is blue, she takes her blue sari and she throws it. She doesn't want to see the Jamuna River because it's very blue. And she has a bird cage. She takes the bird cage and puts it away because it's blue. So So these are Krishna's pastimes with his devotees are so sweet and so intricate and so really full of what we call spiritual rasa, and that devotees can absorb themselves in hearing and chanting Krishna's pastimes with his friends in Vrindavan, his boyfriends. They herd the cows together, they joke. Krishna runs and they all chase Krishna and they all think, I want to catch Krishna first. I'm going to catch Krishna first. And they're all running. And then they all run and they catch Krishna. And one says, I got for here first. And the other one says, no, no, I caught Krishna first. No, no. And they start arguing. Krishna loves that. And then Krishna's mother, she gives him a box of lunch. And then they always want to see what Mother Yasoda's doing. So they look in this box and they say, oh, boy, you got, yours is better than mine. And so they take Krishna's lunch and start eating it. And Krishna takes their lunch and starts eating theirs. So it's very sweet. A loving exchange between Krishna and his friends and his parents. His mother's always trying to make sure he doesn't steal butter or fall down and get hurt. And she's taking care of him that way. And he's running away from his mother. She's trying to catch him. She can't catch him. So the pastimes of Krishna are so sweet and so deep and so full of loving exchange that when one starts to hear about these pastimes, one starts to get attracted to these pastimes and one thinks, wow, I want more. And as we take on more and more, then our life becomes centered around Krishna more and more. So this verse is fundamental to the whole process of spiritual advancement. One who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam about the personality of Godhead, who is the controller, savior, and super soul of all living entities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful class, reminding us about chanting and hearing about the glories of holy name. About the Lord. Thank you so much. Yeah, I see 2 raised hands already. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, as we hear you speak, we feel the power of the pastimes of the Lord, how sweet he is, how wonderful he is, and how loving his exchanges are. Like this, it's very nice to hear about the Lord. But then, when the class is over and we are in the world, then again, all the weapons of mass destruction or distraction are around to pull us away. So how to keep this focus and how to keep our minds on Krishna when there are so many other things that, are to be done?
Yeah, we've made sure we've made enough things to do so we don't have time for Krishna. we plan that way. One of the things that we have to understand, and it's a very subtle thing. We, in general, and we say we, it's just a general statement, think that success is getting things done. When we get something done, we feel a sense of accomplishment by that. So when we're hearing and chanting, what are we getting done? So we think, hearing and chanting is nice, but, I got to get things done. So we have a whole list of things to do. But hearing and chanting is purifying our consciousness and bringing us closer to Krishna. So although it's imperceptible, but it's working. So getting things done is an indication of the mode of passion. It's called fruitive activities. We gauge success in life by how many things we can get done in a day. But real success is to awaken our attraction for Krishna. So we need to do both, but you have to give sufficient time for hearing and chanting glories of the Lord. Just like some days I'll think, okay, I'm not even going to go on my computer. Keep it off. I just keep it shut down. I pick up a book, I start reading about something about Krishna consciousness. And I feel so satisfied. And the emails are still there that I didn't answer. They'll get answered. And so we got our emails, we got our Gmails, we got our females, we got so many males. we got males without FE in front of it, males, females, this male, that male. So many things to do.
So the way to actually overcome this is to continually hear and chant the glories of the Lord. That will pull us away from this mode of passion, which makes us want to do things, achieve things, and feel a sense of accomplishment by doing things.
Yeah, we have to understand that this hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is the most important thing. Because that's the purpose of human life, is to go back home, back to Godhead. And the qualifier of self to go back to Godhead is that we have to become attracted to Krishna, attached to Krishna. If someone says, you have to develop love for this person, but you don't know anything about them, and how will you develop love or even become interested in the person? So the books are there, the recordings are there, everything is there. The temple is there, everything is there. Make sufficient time. I'm not saying you have to do it 24/7, but if you do, you'll think, now I understood what life is really about. Look at the Maharaj Parikshit. He could have counteracted that curse by that Brahmin boy. He had the power, but he didn't. He said, now's the chance to finish all my material activities and just absorb myself in the glories of the Lord. He took advantage of an awkward situation to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Sometimes when our computer breaks down, then we can, okay, got to get the computer fixed. The guy says it'll be back in 3 days. All right, so now I got to read the book. I'll read the books. So we start reading the books. So make a schedule. And in your schedule, give you sufficient time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
If you don't schedule it, it won't happen. If you leave it up to the mind will always opt to do something.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much for reminding that. Even though we make schedule, sometimes the mind gives so many excuses, like you have to do this, you have to do that. First, you finish off that. So, yeah, sometimes it's very difficult to maintain the schedule also. So it's very challenging sometimes, very much.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. Today, I didn't even open my computer till the class started.
Mhm.
And I was just chanting not chanting extra rounds. I was just chanting my rounds and some rounds that I had missed from the day before. Well, I thought, all right, emails are still there. They're not going to go away. I'll get to them.
So this postponing mentality, is it due to it's not a lacking of seriousness or sincerity in the process or in
No,
our
it's
practice?
just there's no taste for hearing and chanting.
Mm.
Because we don't have a taste, we opt for something else. So how do you get the taste? Shru Shrushra Sharadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Shanmayat Seva Vipra Purnya Tirtana Sevanat. By rendering service to great souls, great service is done, and by such service one gets an affinity to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. So but still, just do it.
Mhm.
Just you just sit there and you don't have necessary. If you can't read all the time, then you can listen to recordings
Mm.
or videos. Yeah. Then if you do it with other devotees, then it becomes really nice.
Maharaja, creativities.
Prabhupada came to give us this process of hearing and chanting.
Miss Maharaj, thank you. Sonal Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances to all the devotees as well. But just a slightly different question, or a technical question. You are mentioning about the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. So Radharani is the internal potency of the Krishna, and so is Balram is also an expansion of Krishna's energy. So and we are marginal potencies of Krishna. So where would the gopis and gopas and all the associates of Vrindavan come in? Are they independent souls
No,
who are eternal?
they're part of Krishna's internal energy. They're called they're Nityasiddhas, eternal associates of the Lord. That's a class of personalities who are always with Krishna and performing their pastimes. There are 6 categories of gopis: the rishicharis, gopis, the what is it? The rishicharis, the personified Vedas. I can't remember all of the 6 categories of the gopis, but rishicharis and I don't know. And also, one can aspire to become an eternal associate of the Lord if they perfect their devotion in the mood of Vrindavan, following in the footsteps of a resident of Vrindavan. That whole process is there. That's explained in the Shastras, how one can elevate themselves to become an eternal associate of the Lord. It's not a closed door.
So is it a possibility for us to become Nitya Siddha as well?
Yeah. Well, there's sadhana siddhas, there is kripa siddhas, and there's nitya siddhas. Siddha means perfect, so there's siddha in all 3 categories. So there are those who never fall to the material world. They're eternal associates of the Lord, and they're nitya siddhas. They never touch the material world. Sometimes they come down to preach Krishna consciousness, but that's all. And then there's the kripa siddhas, where one becomes perfect by some outstanding activity that they performed. And the other one is sadhana siddhas, that's us. By practicing the sadhana bhakti, we can reach perfection and go back home, back to Godhead, and become an eternal associate of the Lord.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I had this question for quite a few days. So thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yeah, so go for it. Prabhupada's waiting for you.
Trying hard.
Prabhupada,
Hard.
Prabhupada's on the gate of Vrindavan. He's just waiting there for his devotees to come back so he can greet them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah, we'll see you in the spiritual world.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, we all feel like that. But it's, Prabhupada said it's as fast or as slow as you wanted to make it. Material obligations is something we adopt by coming into this material world as soon as we get a material body, and we adopt those material obligations. They're not there in the soul. They're there when we adopt a material body, then the obligations come with family members, friends, society, various types of duties, and debts that we have to the sages, to the forefathers, to people in general, to the family members. As soon as we come into this material world, we get entangled with so many different responsibilities. We have debts to the forefathers, debts to the sages, debts to the demigods, debts to people in general, debts to the family members. You're indebted to your mother and father for giving you the body that you have, indebted to the sages for giving you transcendental knowledge, indebted to the demigods because they provide sunlight, rain, and everything we need to live in this material world. We're indebted to people in general who provide various services for us to live in this material world. We have so many debts. But if it says if you take the Krishna consciousness and if you engage in the service of Mukunda, Krishna is called Mukunda. He's the giver of liberation. He's the one that frees us from all of these responsibilities, all of these debts. Then we're on our way back to the spiritual world. And all of these debts are no longer there. They're gone. As soon as you engage in devotional service. You're free. There. Krishna consciousness means freedom from all of the entanglements that come by living in this material world. But if we do our duty, Prabhupada refers to that one in the, you can go back to the purport. He refers to one particular verse in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 27. Yeah, he said the process of doing work is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, where instruction is given for working on the Lord's account. And so if we learn that process, that's yat karosi, yat arasi, yat dahosi, dadasi, yat tapasi, takuntaya, tat kurusha mararpanam. All that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all activities you perform, should be done as a offering to me, Krishna says. So that's that verse, yeah. So do everything as a service to the Lord, and then you can break your entanglement in this material world.
Yeah. Sridevi Mataji.
Guru Maharaj, you very correctly said that we have this strong feeling that success means doing something, being industrious, being, productive, and actually having something to show at the end of the day. This is very strongly there. But how we can actually understand that hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is the best thing to do, and this is the way of success? Because we could be accused of, oh, you're just sitting at home and doing nothing.
So I'm telling you, if you listen, and do it, you'll get it.
Okay.
If you don't listen, if you just listen and don't do it, you don't get it. In one ear, out the other. And I'm not saying it. It's being said by the Lord himself. Sukadeva Goswami is saying it in this verse. It's being said by all the great souls. And this section of the Bhagavatam, you'll see, this first chapter is really, really nectar.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, when you are saying about serving the pure souls to get faith, more faith in the Lord's glories, so we don't get much opportunity to serve the pure souls, right? Around us.
You have opportunity every minute.
Mm.
If you follow the instructions of the spiritual master or the great souls, that's service to the great souls.
Okay.
Physical proximity is one form of interaction, but mostly activities in the spiritual realm are connecting us by the activity and not so much by the physical location. So if you're following the instructions of the spiritual master, you're actually serving the spiritual master.
Mm.
Then you have to learn how to apply those instructions in all of the activities you perform.
Maharaj, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Yeah, Sakshi Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Maharaj, I have heard that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he said once, I'm not sure if that is true, that too much bhakti is a sign of no bhakti in future. Is this a true statement?
Not too much bhakti, but too much display of bhakti. When it's done pretentiously, one is trying to show off that he's a great devotee. That's what he's talking about. Pretentiousness, presenting themselves as a great devotee by performing the activities in order to get some recognition, some position, some feeling of being advanced. But there's no such thing as too much bhakti. But bhakti is performed in a very regulated way. In other words, Vishwanath Chakravarti talks about that. Someone says, all right, now I'm going to renounce everything. I'm going to give up my family. I'm going to go to Vrindavan. I'm going to sit there and chant 64 rounds every day. And all of a sudden, they're like, that's what they, but then when they get to Vrindavan, their minds are disturbed and they can't do it. And then they give it up. It's called on again, off again, hot and cold. Stay steady. Perform your duties every day with attachment to your duties. That's all.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. And Maharaj, there is a tendency that if our chanting is going good, then means I tend to increase fanatically the chanting. And I'll do 20 rounds from now on. And then I make some kind of vow, and then later I don't follow it. So
Yeah, that's why we 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 increase gradually. We may get some ecstasy, but ecstasy doesn't indicate you're advanced. You think, well, I'm getting ecstasy. That doesn't mean you're advanced. Even a very new person coming into Krishna consciousness can experience ecstasy. So advancement comes when, one, you are no longer looking towards the material energy for some kind of satisfaction, some kind of material, some kind of gain. And advancement comes when you're starting to become more humble, more tolerant, more patient, more service oriented, more undisturbed by happiness and distress. You're becoming simple. You're learning the scriptures. All these happen gradually. Don't try to charge the gates of Vaikuntha. They won't let you in.
thank you so much, Maharaj.
Gradual process. But don't make it so gradual you go to sleep. That's not the idea. That's why Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nishchaya Darya, enthusiasm, determination, and patience must be applied to all of the activities in devotional service. Prabhupada didn't like us to burn out, and then all of a sudden the next day you can't do nothing. He cautioned us against that. I mean, one day you're serving so much, and the next day you can't do anything. So take it as much as you can, gradual. If you're not sure, ask questions, associate with devotees, speak to your spiritual master. All these can be clarified through your own experience and through the guidance of the superior devotees. Generally, the process is gradual.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we can stop here. We're ready
Maharaj.
pretty much at the hour now.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class and nice question answer discussion.
Want
Dear
to
devotees.
chant one round?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
End with the holy name.
Yes. Yeah.
Avanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Krishna Hare Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for today's class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj. We'll all see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
There's possibility I won't be here, but the bigger possibility is I will be here.
Yes, Maharaj.
So yeah, so I'll let you know by message.
Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank
But
you very much.
I mostly probably will be here tomorrow.